Good after morning, welcome to Turbo Tortoise Tech. If you're new here, I'm Reese of the 4-piece variety or Wooks Triple XL. There's been a couple of requests about streaming setup for audio because, if audio is offensive, people aren't really going to want to listen to something that's very, tinny and horrible and scratching the ear, which is kind of reasonable if we're being honest. So today I'm going to show you a couple of products that you should be looking at if you just want to get a little bit better than an average headset microphone. Some of them are not really going to break the bank, but I'll take you to the bottom end of a professional sort of setup as well. And then a couple of the considerations and products you should be looking at if you want to get the best possible setup for your stream. So without further ado, let's crack straight into it. Starting with microphones, these little Marvo pod mics are pretty good for what they cost. I'm looking to review this one as soon as possible because the other one, the one in black, which was $200, has already sold out. So I'm trying to get one of these so I can just review it. Now, if it's standing on the desk in front of you, it's probably not going to be as good as what you're hearing from me now because I have a boom arm that I can have the mic at the correct distancing from me. That is quite important. Another one to consider, something I have reviewed, is this Marvo Mark 03. Here is the review. I sometimes catch myself out with my own thumbs for you so that you can hear. This is actually pretty good, and it comes with a little shock mount, which you can then mount onto a boom arm, which is something I'm going to show you a little bit later. It is quite an important thing to consider. If you want something a little bit more professional, I would suggest the HyperX Solarcast. This is a great entry level, pro audio kind of mic setup for you. That's going to be able to give you really good plug and play performance, which we can then later tune inside of OBS. Another thing you really want to consider is getting a boom arm. This is probably even more important than the microphone itself because you need to be able to get it in front of you, like I've said, like that. There are cheaper alternatives and stuff in the market, but this is a good solid one that you wouldn't have to replace. There are Elgato products for this as well. You can look at a Wave 1 or Wave 3, even the Wave Neo, which I've recently reviewed as well for a microphone setup. That's a little bit more long-term, a little bit more high-end professional kind of setup. But you don't need to go bank breaking and spend $2,500 on a boom arm. Something like this will work. You can get cheaper alternatives. They are out there. I'm making suggestion to Uncle Evetech to get those in stock as well. And they should come through at about 300 to 350 Rand. For your settings in OBS, they are quite simple and straightforward. At least the first two are. So if we go over here to filters, you can see I've got a noise gate and a noise suppression put in over there. And these are kind of important because you really need to make sure that the noise around you is kind of cut down, because if it's very distracting and people are getting a lot of hissing and other kind of audio pops and crackles, they're probably not going to watch your content very much. To add these is very simple. You just literally go noise gate and noise suppression over there. So if I remove these two, just to show you how easy it is, you just, let's say I have nothing over there, you just go noise gate and add that in, and noise suppression. And you really don't have to modify anything from there. The one you're going to want to get and modify is the rear plug-in for a compressor. This is especially if you're a little bit loud like your boy. Luckily with this mic, I don't really need it too much, but you're going to look at getting rear plugins on the web. I'll show you an image of that on your screen now. You want to download and install those, and then when you go over here, you go to noise compress, or we'll just call it compressor, like that. And then from the plugin, you're going to go rear comp standalone. Then from this, you go open the plugin interface so that you can see the screen. Now there's only a couple of settings that you really need to set. One of them is your threshold, so that you go all the way down to your normal speaking voice. You don't want to compress your normal speaking voice too much. It's more for when you go really loud, and then it's going to start doing a compression. Your ratio over here is the other thing you really want to set on this. For softer voices and more high-pitched voices for our lady streamers, etc., you want to go on a 3:1. But if you're a bit more boomy, loud like your boy, then you're going to hit it up with a 4:1 compression ratio. And from this point, all I'm going to do is adjust this threshold. For me, I generally do about a -10, so that if I do start going very, very loud, it now compresses that audio and pulls it through at a normal rate. The other one you might want to look at a little bit is your release, but generally just having it set up like this will give you pretty good performance. So now if I start shouting and I start getting, oh my word, there's a dude and he's over there with the thing, then you still get the audio coming through without it coming through like hissing or clipping out the top like that. Pop filters are also quite important. I have a double pop filter setup on this mic over here, which is what's aiding in that audio coming through at a normal sort of setup. And that's basically your setup for your audio stuff in OBS. You don't really need to do too much more than that. That should give you pretty close to what you're experiencing now. Of course, if you spend more money on better microphone setups and you have it in front of you on a boom arm at about a 15 centimeter radius, that's going to give you the best overall performance from your microphone setup. And that is your basics that you're going to want to look at for getting a good kind of stream output setting. This will be good as well if you're doing shoutcasting, especially if you're doing shoutcasting and you're a passionate loud person like our dearest Hellbird. You might want to look at something like an Elgato that has a clip guard, or they have similar kinds of setups on the HyperX Quadcast mics as well. Anywho, that's all I've got for you in this tutorial. If you have enjoyed it, please do hit us up with a like and subscribe, and I will see you on the flip side.
You burst in a fire.